He crossed the line. Reddit tales of betrayal. An authentic story of infidelity. Your support is invaluable. A staggering 90% of our viewers have yet to hit that subscribe button, and we need your support to continue crafting captivating content. Kindly subscribe and activate the notification bell. We invite you to share your location with us. Please drop your city in the comments below. Never did I imagine I would arrive at this moment, poised at the brink of a life meticulously crafted, grappling with doubts about all I had once held as unchangeable. The foundation of my life was built upon my marriage, my home, and my roles as a wife, a mother, and a cherished member of a tight-knit family. Yet beneath the facade of this seemingly flawless existence, a subtle pain had started to unfurl, weaving its way through the fissures of my heart, much like ivy entwining an age-old wall. I reassured myself that it was merely a passing unease, a momentary discontent arising from the monotony of daily life. Yet, beneath the surface, I was aware of the truth. It commenced amidst a family gathering, on one of those summer afternoons that languidly unfurled into evening, where laughter and conversation intertwined with the aroma of grilled delicacies and the gentle chorus of cicadas. Our families had always been intertwined, connected not merely by blood, but by shared traditions, by holidays spent in each other's company, by the unspoken understanding that family encompassed everything. Among the familiar faces, there was one that had always lingered in the background. Yet on that day, it captured my attention in a way it never had before. Ryan was my husband's cousin, and while we had shared countless family gatherings throughout our upbringing, I had regarded him as little more than a distant figure, a mere whisper in the tapestry of my existence. He was subdued, introspective, the type of individual who favored the periphery of a bustling gathering over its heart. Yet that summer, there was an unmistakable change in him, or perhaps it was I who had transformed. As the sun sank beneath the horizon, painting the sky in gentle hues of lavender, we settled onto the porch, seeking refuge from the clamor of the gathering. Our dialogue commenced in the familiar manner, marked by courteous questions and nostalgic reflections on previous family gatherings. Yet, at some point in the journey, a transformation occurred. Our conversation flowed with an unexpected ease, his words carrying a depth that struck a chord within me in ways I had not anticipated. He shared his aspirations, his challenges, his yearning to uncover significance in a world that frequently seemed empty. I was entranced, not merely by his words, but by the profound sense of being felt, seen, and understood in a manner I hadn't experienced in years. It was not yet love, yet it was something, a flicker, a quiver, a subtle awakening within the recesses of my heart, filled me with dread. In the days that ensued, I endeavored to set aside the recollection of that night, to entomb it beneath the burden of my obligations. Yet Ryan remained in my mind, akin to the lingering notes of a tune that refused to fade away. I reassured myself that it was merely a fleeting lapse, a brief spark of connection that held no significance in the larger tapestry of existence. Ultimately, my affection for my husband remained unwavering. Michael was a remarkable man, embodying kindness and reliability, the kind of partner that would inspire envy in many women. We had crafted a life intertwined, a tapestry woven with shared aspirations and serene satisfaction. Yet, despite my efforts to concentrate on the myriad reasons that urged my heart to stay resolute, I found it increasingly difficult to overlook the widening chasm that lay between us. Marriage, I came to realize, was far from the enchanting fairy tale I had once envisioned. It was neither a relentless surge of fervor nor a perpetual flow of joy. It was a delicate balance, a familiar rhythm, the gradual intertwining of two existences into a singular tapestry. Amidst the whirlwind of parenting, the relentless cycle of bills, and the everyday trials of adult life, the once vibrant connection between Michael and me had begun to fade. Our love remained, of that I was undeniably sure. Yet, it was a love that had settled into a state of comfort, predictability, and, if I were to be truthful, a touch of stagnation. Ryan, embodying a quiet intensity and a contemplative gaze, resonated with a sense of something I had misplaced, a reflection of the individual I once was before the weight of life settled in. Initially, our exchanges were pure, marked by a fleeting smile exchanged from across the room during yet another family gathering, or a momentary chat in the kitchen while the rest of the family busied themselves elsewhere. Yet every moment seemed electrified, as though the space between us hummed with unvoiced sentiments. I reassured myself that it was innocuous, that perhaps I was overanalyzing the situation. As the weeks morphed into months, an inexplicable pull towards him began to surface, compelling me to seek him out. It wasn't merely his presence that enchanted me. It was the manner in which he appeared to penetrate the mask I donned, revealing the restless, yearning spirit that lay beneath. I recall the moment when our bond transcended the realm of innocence, evolving into something deeper. On a brisk autumn evening, the air was infused with the scent of decaying leaves, while the sky stretched above like a vast canvas adorned with twinkling stars. We convened at my in-laws' residence for a family dinner, and as the evening unfolded, I found myself stepping outside for a brief moment of solitude. I discovered Ryan in that moment, casually leaning against the porch railing, his breath forming wisps in the crisp night air. Our conversation flowed as it always had, yet this time it carried a heaviness, an openness that felt unfamiliar. Ryan hesitated before replying. He cast his eyes toward the horizon, a contemplative look gracing his features. "I understand what you're saying," he replied at last. "At times, I find myself pondering whether this is the entirety of our experience, merely existing rather than truly embracing the essence of life." His words resonated profoundly within me, and for a fleeting moment, we remained there in silence, the unarticulated connection between us more potent than any words we might have exchanged. As he finally turned to meet my gaze, his eyes revealed a blend of sorrow and an indefinable emotion, causing my heart to flutter unexpectedly. In that instant, I realized we were poised on the edge of a transformation that had the potential to alter everything. As the fissures in your existence start to emerge, they reveal themselves gradually, not in a sudden rush. They gather silently in the corners of your daily life, infiltrating your essence like water trickling through rock. The burden of my decisions, those fleeting instances, murmurs in the shadows, and the widening abyss of remorse, had ultimately woven itself into the very essence of my soul. I believed I could endure it. I believed I could navigate two existences, juggling the individual I once was with the one I had transformed into. Yet, the truth possesses an uncanny ability to assert itself, regardless of attempts to stifle it. The dawn that followed my encounter with Ryan in the park cast a weighty shadow over the world. The choice to sever our bond ought to have granted me a sense of relief, maybe even a semblance of closure. Yet, it instead created a profound emptiness that I found impossible to overlook. The thought of confronting my husband, Michael, with the truth loomed over me like an unshakable burden, one I was not yet prepared to bear. I had always taken pride in my strength, in being the sort of individual capable of enduring any tempest. Yet this tempest was born from my own hands, and the devastation it would unleash filled me with dread. In the days that followed, I found myself enveloped in a fog of introspection, pondering how I had allowed circumstances to unravel so drastically. I revisited each moment of our marriage in my thoughts, seeking the instances where we stumbled, where we permitted the silence to expand between us. Michael had consistently been my anchor, a reliable and unwavering force in my existence. He was not one to overwhelm me with extravagant displays or fervent proclamations of affection. Yet, his unwavering commitment shone through in the smallest of gestures. He brewed my coffee each morning, precisely to my liking. His grip on my hand in moments of hardship was unwavering. His voice carried a quiet assurance that instilled in me a belief that everything would turn out just fine. And yet, at some point in the journey, I had ceased to truly perceive him. I ceased to pay attention. Seated at the kitchen table in the stillness of the night, with only the gentle hum of the refrigerator breaking the silence, I realized that the time had come to reveal the truth to him. The guilt gnawed at my insides, and each time I met his gaze, I was overwhelmed by a sense of deceit. He was entitled to the truth, regardless of the pain it might bring him. How do you admit to the person you love that you've broken the trust between you? How do you discover the phrases that will dismantle their reality? As I mustered the courage to voice my thoughts, the stillness of a quiet Sunday afternoon enveloped me. The children were out with their friends, while the house was enveloped in the gentle golden glow of late autumn. Michael sat in the living room, engrossed in a book, his glasses resting delicately on the bridge of his nose. It was a scene steeped in familiarity and warmth, so much so that for a fleeting moment, I nearly persuaded myself to turn away, to allow the moment to slip by and keep my secret hidden deep within. Yet, as he gazed up at me, his face radiating warmth and affection, I realized that my concealment was no longer an option. "Is that you, Michael?" I started, my voice quivering. "May we engage in a conversation?" He placed the book aside, a subtle furrow appearing on his forehead. "Certainly," he remarked, his voice steady yet inquisitive. "What thoughts occupy your mind?" I settled into my seat opposite him, my fingers intertwined firmly in my lap. The rhythm of my heart echoed in my ears, drowning out the whispers of my own mind. The phrases I had practiced countless times in my thoughts suddenly seemed insufficient, dwarfed by the reality I was on the brink of disclosing. "I must share something with you," I finally confessed, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. "There is something I ought to have shared with you much earlier." His gaze delved into mine, revealing a glimmer of worry, a subtle whisper of discomfort. "Very well," he replied with a measured tone. "I'm all ears." Thus I conveyed my thoughts to him. I confided in him about the widening chasm that had formed between us, the solitude that had seeped into our union, and the manner in which I had permitted myself to find comfort in another's company. I recounted the tale of Ryan, detailing the beginnings, the evolution, and ultimately the conclusion I had reached. I spoke plainly and refrained from rationalizing my choices. I bared my soul to him, unvarnished and honest, my voice trembling beneath the burden of my revelation. Upon completion, the ensuing silence was nothing short of thunderous. Michael fixed his gaze upon me, his face a mask of inscrutability, fingers tightly wound in his lap. The anguish in his eyes was palpable, a testament to the betrayal he felt. Yet there was also a remarkable strength in his struggle to maintain composure. He remained calm and composed, refraining from any outbursts. He remained still, taking in the gravity of what I had said. "How long?" he inquired at last, his voice barely above a whisper, thick with tension. "For how long has this persisted?" "For months," I confessed, my voice quivering. "Yet it has come to an end." I brought it to a close. "I promise you, Michael, it was never my intention to cause you pain." "Stop," he commanded, raising a hand in a gesture of authority. "Simply cease." The gaze in his eyes shattered me. A tumultuous blend of anger, sadness, and an elusive emotion lingered within me, one that defied definition. He rose suddenly, moving restlessly around the room, as though grappling with the weight of the revelation that had just been laid before him. I felt compelled to contact him, to express my deep remorse. Yet, I was acutely aware that no words of mine could ever mend the harm I had inflicted. "I need some time," he said finally, his voice strained. "It is time for contemplation." With that, he exited the room, and I was left alone, burdened by the heavy weight of my guilt. In the days that ensued, the air within our abode was laden with an unmistakable tension. Michael maintained a certain distance, engaging in our conversations with brevity and a sense of obligation. He immersed himself in his work, dedicating countless hours to the office and returning home in the late hours of the night. In his presence at home, he shunned me, seeking refuge in the study or the bedroom, silent as a shadow. The stillness that once wrapped around us like a gentle embrace now loomed like an insurmountable divide, one I found myself unable to bridge. I felt compelled to contact him, to plead for his forgiveness. Yet I found myself at a loss. I had shattered something delicate and invaluable between us, and I was uncertain if it could ever be restored. One evening, while I was tidying up after dinner, he strolled into the kitchen and leaned casually against the counter. He stood with his arms folded across his chest. For a fleeting instant, he regarded me in silence, his face a mask of inscrutability. "We need to talk," he said at last, his voice unwavering yet resolute. I nodded, placing the dish I had been holding back into the sink. Understood. He motioned to the dining table, and we took our seats opposite one another. The atmosphere surrounding us was thick with unvoiced thoughts, the quiet lingering until he at last shattered it. He began, his voice steady. I've been reflecting deeply on what you shared with me. I must understand the reason behind this. What was it about me that fell short for you? His question pierced through me, and tears welled in my eyes as I grappled with the search for the right words. It wasn't that you lacked anything, I finally admitted, my voice trembling. The focus was on me. I found myself adrift, feeling a profound disconnection, and rather than reaching out to you, rather than sharing the turmoil within me, I made a decision I deeply regret. I wrongly believed I needed something else, without realizing I never gave you the chance to show me otherwise, when in reality, I never afforded you the opportunity to prove otherwise. He nodded slowly, a contemplative look crossing his face. I'm not claiming to be without fault, he remarked. I recognize that I have been distant at times, and I acknowledge that I have taken you for granted. Yet, I never anticipated, never envisioned, that you would seek solace in someone else. My voice trembled with emotion as I spoke. I'm so sorry, Michael. I understand the pain I've caused you, and I don't anticipate your forgiveness to come easily or swiftly. However, I am prepared to put in the effort necessary to mend what has been broken.